Hello, judges. My name is Vas Fay, my partner is Prachet Trivedi, and today we will be presenting a topic we are very passionate about drug prevention education, and we will be highlighting the harmful effects that drugs can have on the human body. So, first, it is important to note what defines a drug and what actually constitutes drug usage. So, drugs can range from anywhere from Tylenol to fentanyl. They can be used as a beneficial purpose, such as the Tylenol, or a malevolent purpose, such as the fentanyl, which is drug misuse. And unfortunately, drugs are often misused by people. It is also important to note the difference between legal and illegal drugs. So, legal drugs can include anything that's over the counter, such as NyQuil, Sudafed, or ibuprofen. Legal drugs can also include those provided by a pharmacist, and it is important to follow the instructions, the specific instructions provided by your pharmacist. Illegal drugs, on the other hand, are usually not used for a medicinal benefit, and unfortunately, they're used for feelings of pleasure and increased levels of dopamine in the brain. This can lead to a variety of health effects and are extremely dangerous. Some common illegal drugs are cannabis, cocaine, fentanyl, heroin, and many more, unfortunately. The most commonly abused substances in the United States are alcohol, tobacco, cigarettes, with their respective percentages here. However, other drugs that are often used in the United States are marijuana, opioids, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and more. Why do people use drugs in the first place? So many use them to feel good. This is through a state of euphoria and increased dopamine levels in the brain. And these people want to cope with their problems in life by temporarily relieving from the stresses in their life by feeling good. However, this is only a temporary solution to a permanent problem, and it is never worth it to try drugs due to the adverse health effects and dangers of them. It is also important to note in teens, they may want to do it to fit in. So when kids enter high school, they may become immersed into a culture where it is accepted to drink alcohol and do drugs. And teens, as a result of wanting to fit in, may try drugs. This is very important to note, especially at my own age of 17 and Pratchett's age of 17 as well, that we've seen this firsthand, and that we want to emphasize it is never okay to do this, to succumb to peer pressure and try to fit in by doing drugs. As a result, we've created a public service announcement on the dangers of fentanyl and peer pressure.
Yo, take a hit of this, bro. It's really good.
I don't do that stuff. I don't think that's a good idea.
Just do it, man. Everyone's doing it, bro. It's just one hit.
Just this one time wouldn't hurt.
As we can see, it is never okay to try drugs, especially when you just want to fit in. Another reason people do drugs is because they reach a point where they have to, due to addiction, and they can't function properly without the drug. This means that people may start using drugs or have to continue using drugs to normally function in life, not even to achieve a state of euphoria, which is their initial reason for trying the drug. Some of the effects of drug usage in the short term are increased attention, decreased fatigue, increased activity, decreased appetite, euphoria, increased respiration, irregular heartbeat, hyperthermia, tachycardia, and death. And the long term effects are gastrointestinal issues, respiratory problems, brain and central nervous system effects, unfortunate cardiovascular events, kidney diseases, and death. Death is mentioned in both the short-term and the long-term causes of drug use. This highlights how dangerous drugs can truly be, and it also emphasizes how it is never okay to try drugs or misuse them. Here's a graph providing the drug overdose deaths per 100,000 people in New Jersey and the United States from 2011 to 2021. Clearly, we can see it is on the rise, with 32.4 overdose deaths per 100,000 people in both New Jersey and the United States. Personally, I want to become a physician when I am older, and so does Pratchett, so we felt it was important to emphasize the impacts of drugs on the brain, the most important organ in the human body. So drugs may overactivate and overstimulate the basal ganglia, which is the reward circuit in the brain. This area of the brain causes you to feel pleasure in day-to-day activities, such as walking your dog. However, drugs may stimulate this reward circuit. Too much, however. This means that the next time you walk your dog and you are misusing drugs, you may not feel that same pleasure, and you may begin to only feel pleasure from using the drugs. This can lead to addiction and depression. Another area of the brain that is affected is the extended amygdala, as it may become oversensitized with repeated drug use. As a result, usage to get relief from discomfort instead of reaching euphoria may result. Another very important part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, may be damaged in its development due to the use of drugs. The prefrontal cortex is so important because it serves for your ability to think, plan, solve problems, make decisions, critical think, and exert self-control over impulses. This area of the brain is used so often, so many times, especially if your occupation includes high-level thinking and critical thinking. This means that if you use drugs, you may be destroying not only your future, but your quality of work. I will be passing the torch on now for Pratchett to discuss the social and economic impacts of drugs.
Thank you, Vas. Now moving on to social and economic impacts. Drug usage has a plethora of social impacts, and a few are highlighted here. People can easily ruin their lives by using drugs. Drug usage can cause a loss of jobs or occupation and psychological and mental health issues. Even though many people turn to drugs as a solution to mental health issues, drug usage causes these problems to worsen. Drug abuse and drug usage can cause a loss of relationship with family, friends, etc., and causes one's physical health to deteriorate, which means spending more time in a care center or a hospital than those who you love. Again, participating in illegal drug usage activities means that you face incarceration, which means jail time away from those who you care about. Drug usage always comes with a risk of an overdose, and overdosing has terrible impacts on you and those around you. Now, the economic impacts of drugs are many. About 120 billion US dollars were lost in productivity due to drug abuse treatments in 2007. $11 billion were lost for healthcare costs for drug treatment and drug-related medical costs, and $61 billion were lost in criminal justice costs, primarily due to criminal investigation. About $193 billion were lost in 2007 due to drug usage and drug abuse. Here are two charts which I think exemplify this. The top chart is the New Jersey substance use treatment admissions trend from 2010 and 2022. We can see a steady increase throughout the chart, with a decrease in 2014 and 2020, but an overall positive slope. The image at the bottom shows the same New Jersey substance use treatment admissions, but this time by primary drug. We can see that alcohol and heroin are consistently the two top drugs for treatment admissions. Again, we can see a similar pattern with a decrease in 2014 and 2020, but an overall positive slope and an increase again for 2021 and 2022. So what can we do to make these numbers as low as possible? Essentially making them zero. That's where prevention and intervention strategies come in. Here's an image which shows the 2022 New Jersey substance use admissions by county of residence. We can see that the top 5 counties are Essex County, Atlantic, Camden, Ocean, and Monmouth counties, with 8,194, 7,403, 7,390, 6,599, and 6,136 admissions respectively. These are only the top 5 counties with thousands of admissions. So prevention and intervention starts with understanding how substance abuse develops. And it's important to learn how to avoid peer pressure. As was shown in the PSA, a young individual at a party with his friends said no to the drugs at first. He said it's not for him and he doesn't do that type of stuff. But through peer pressure, he decided, you know what? Maybe one time wouldn't work. Let me just take one hit. That one hit was what caused him to overdose. It's important to seek help for mental illness. Mental illness and drug abuse go hand in hand, and individuals need to realize that drugs are never a solution to mental health issues. And it's important for individuals to keep a well-balanced life. People often turn to drugs when something in their life is missing or not working. People need to understand that help is always there for those who need it, and drugs are never the solution. So I'll wrap this up and speak about what me and Vas are doing to play our role in the community in decreasing drug abuse. Again, alcohol is the most commonly used drug in the United States, and people mainly use drugs to temporarily increase dopamine levels and feel pleasure. Drug usage causes a variety of serious health issues and can affect the brain in many areas for the worse. Education is prevention. And now I'll speak about an initiative that Vas and I are running. Our call to action. Me and Vas presented this at the county level, and again, after some revisions at the state level. And despite all of this, what we explained about the effects of drugs and how trends are currently, what are we doing to help? Well, Vas and I started an initiative to educate children and young teens about the harmful effects of drugs. What's unique about Vas and I's initiative is that we use youth, children our age, role models in high school, to educate other children who are middle schoolers and our fellow high school peers. We educate on how to overcome the challenges of peer pressure and how drugs and vaping will ruin your life. We've partnered with the Monmouth County Health Department to gain access to their resources and so they can help us throughout our mission. We use youth to educate youth to make sure that these numbers are as low as possible, ensuring that children do not start to use drugs at all. Thank you all for your time, and are there any questions?